Welcome to another episode with my Street Triple RS. So I've had my Triumph Street Triple RS for about 6 months and I've yet to do a 6-month review for it. Alright, let's start this baby up. We're going to talk about a few things in this episode as part of the review process. We're going to be talking about reliability, how fun the bike is to ride, its speed, maneuverability, and do I still love it? I don't know. Is it something that I still love, or is it something that I want to get rid of? And probably a whole bunch of other stuff. So by now, I'm sure you've seen my videos, but I've done one track day with this motorcycle at Chuckwalla Valley Raceway, and then another track day at Auto Club Speedway, which, depending on when this video is released, you may have seen the Auto Club Speedway video or not. But it was a whole lot of fun. There are a couple things that I absolutely love about the motorcycle, but there are also a couple things that I don't like about the motorcycle. So let's talk about that first. I love the fact that this thing has so much down-low torque. From 0 to 120, this thing is ballistic. A rocket ship. But after 120 miles an hour, all the way up to its maximum speed of 146, 147, around that area's maximum speed, it's a bit sluggish, but that's also related to the aero. At Chuckwalla Valley Raceway, I didn't experience it that much because the fastest straightaway on that track gets you up to about 123, 24 miles an hour. That's what I did on my R6. But with this motorcycle, I think I hit somewhere around 115 to anywhere between 115 to 120. But that's because this motorcycle doesn't really have any aero. It doesn't have a front windshield. You're really against the wind most of the time. And I think that's what's slowing down the bike. Now, I also want to mention that this motorcycle is a race bike. It comes from the Daytona. And the Daytonas, as we know, are one of the most amazing race bikes that you can ever purchase. So in terms of speed, it's got a whole lot of it. And in terms of delivering that power, it delivers it amazingly. It's just where it lacks, because it's a naked bike, is aero. And I don't blame it for that. So that's probably one of the things I don't like about the motorcycle, but it's not something that's a deal breaker, because I obviously bought this motorcycle knowing that it wasn't going to be great when I'm in track day events and whatnot. But, you know, for the sake of this review, I thought I'd throw that in there as well. One other thing I didn't like about this motorcycle is that every single iteration of the 0, 3, 4, and I think we are currently at number 5, motorcycles continuously get safer and safer. And yeah, I mean, what's wrong with that, right? Well, wow, that scared the shit out of me. Well, there's no problem with that. I'm actually happy about the safety factor. The problem is that the nannies just don't go away. I had the motorcycle in a couple sessions in sport mode, then I put it into race mode thinking that that would alleviate it. Although it did alleviate a lot of the traction issue and a lot of the ABS. ABS was still kicking in a lot, and so was TC. And so as a result of that, even though I was giving this thing wide open throttle, it wasn't delivering all that power right away. And so that frustrated me a little bit, and I kept noticing that my lap times weren't improving. Even though I was taking better lines and everything, my lap times were still suffering from it. Now, in the grand scheme of things, these things are not deal breakers. But just once again, for review purposes, I had to throw this in there, that the traction control as well as ABS, they are intrusive and they just don't go away. So, aside from that, this thing is a peach on the track. Handles absolutely amazing and is a complete beast. First and foremost, this motorcycle in its DNA is a race bike. And secondly, it's a motorcycle that you can ride it on the street like I am right now. As a street bike, doing 6th gear, 45 miles an hour, in normal roads such as this, well, this is a little bit above normal. This is absolutely gorgeous. But you know what I'm saying. It's an absolute dream. It's not that loud, it's not that aggressive. It's got plenty of passing power, even in 6th gear, doing 40 miles an hour. Yes, it's a race bike underneath. On a lot of naked motorcycles, you would feel most of the buffering on your helmet. But on this motorcycle, surprisingly, you don't feel a lot of buffering on your helmet. You feel it hitting the sides of your shoulders and your rib cage on the left and right side, but surprisingly, from here and above, you don't really feel anything. And that's one of the things I love about this motorcycle. The aerodynamics for day-to-day riding on this motorcycle, although some people might call it bug-eyed or whatever, it's an acquired taste. Either you like this motorcycle for its looks or you don't. But I think it's designed first and foremost for comfort riding on a day-to-day basis, not necessarily on the track, because I went to the track with it. I did 140 something miles an hour, like I said, and I don't care what kind of naked bike you have, and I don't care how aerodynamic it is, it's just not going to be something that you're going to enjoy long term. But on the street, this motorcycle is a very comfortable motorcycle, and doing long commutes with it is something that I can definitely do. Now, speaking of long commutes, one thing I do wish that this motorcycle had, well, two things actually. Number one, heated grips, and number two, cruise control. If you put heated grips on this motorcycle and cruise control, man, I think this will be like the ultimate perfect motorcycle. Triumph, if you're watching this video, for the next iteration of the Street Triple RS, please add those two things and you'll have the most perfect motorcycle that exists out there. Other things worth pointing out is this triple engine, man. I fell in love with the triple engine the first time I turned it on. It has like a little whistling sound and it sounds absolutely amazing. But now with this Leo Venture exhaust, it's a very, very deep rumble. It just sounds like a wild animal that's been caged for 1,000 years and it's let loose for the first time. The triple engine is ultra smooth. The quick shifter, it's like butter. It goes up and down the gears without any effort. And when I was at the track, man, this thing had absolutely no issues at all. So now let's talk a little bit about reliability. Well, unfortunately, there's really not much to talk about because it's been fairly reliable. The good news is that it hasn't broken down on me. But so far, I've put about 3,000 miles on this motorcycle. I've done 2 track days with it. I've pretty much ridden it at 100% for at least 500 to 1,000 miles of its life. These motorcycles are meant to be pushed. The Street Triple RS 765 has a Moto 2 engine, and these Moto 2 engines are built like bullets. They're meant to race in MotoGP races, so obviously they're going to be very, very reliable. So in that aspect, I haven't faced any issues with this motorcycle.
A few moments later.
Alright, so let's conclude this review by talking a little bit about the fit and finish of this bike. As you know, 6 months is a pretty long time to own a motorcycle, and if things were to feel cheap, fall apart, you know, they're just plasticky, you can tell, right? That's not the case with this motorcycle because the tank is still in almost brand new condition. I clean it pretty often. As you already know, I keep my toys in pretty good shape. The only exception is this cover. The plastic underneath it sometimes comes loose, but I put it back on and then I fit it and then it goes in perfectly fine. That's the only issue I've had with the plastic piece in the back. Other than that, I don't really ride this motorcycle at night too much, but in the first couple of videos that I made, this front fascia here, as you can see, it does shake a little bit and it's a little bit loose, but that's something that's part of the architecture of the motorcycle, and that's just the way they're built. Components are absolutely quality materials. You got the Brembo master cylinder. This doesn't say Brembo on it, but I don't know what company makes the clutch lever, but it's absolute quality. You have steel braided brakes in the front, steel braided brakes in the rear. But man, for what you get for this motorcycle, they really don't charge you a whole lot of money. The final conclusion is that I absolutely love this motorcycle, absolutely no regrets. And after 6 months of riding this bike, it performs just like it did on its first day. But now that I'm getting used to it, now that I've pushed it to its limits, and now that I've enjoyed it so much, put over 3,000 miles on it, I can definitely say that this is one of the best motorcycles that you can purchase. And if you're on the fence about buying this, I'm definitely telling you to pull the trigger because you get a whole lot of bike for the money. And I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. Please give it a massive like and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And stay tuned for more videos to come. And until the next episode, ciao for now.
It got me stone cold.